I don't know about the really.
Yeah, is it Barclays?
Barclays,
Oh,
yes.
heck yeah.
Back here at Stock, we're going
Backstage, the
viral.
Newark Nightmare.
On Tuesday, LeBron drilled the 35-footer from the logo, which suddenly seems to be part of the guy's repertoire. The King took to the gram yesterday to wax a little poetic. Me. I bet you won't. Me. Man, who you talking to? Me. I'm talking to you.
Oh.
I bet you won't. Me. Man, you must not know me well. And a bunch of hashtags, including Washed King, which I said on this program yesterday.
You're like,
and
LeBron's
said,
up with the hashtag.
LeBron is over it. He's not going to Washed King himself.
America, I'm going to do something I very rarely do right now. I'm going to criticize LeBron James, and it's going to be a fair criticism. He's not great at social media. He's not great at the captions.
Live, laugh, love. What are you talking about?
You know why I think he's great?
He's
great at it.
Hair.
Hold on.
To me, it's so genuine.
Why? What
This
didn't
is
you like?
him.
It's just the
he's
inner
great at it.
monologue, the captions. I don't think he's great at social media. I don't think he's great. We do know he's the
like
one
the social
posting. He doesn't
media.
have a social media manager. It's actually LeBron thumbing out those tweets.
Do you
and
like when he
Instagrams.
previews songs?
Not really.
Oh, I like
When
that.
kids do the TikTok.
I love it because I think he gets a kick out of it. I think it's one of those things where, like, you're talking to your best friend.
Hey, you
Like,
gotta
He can't be great at everything.
Okay, that's fair.
Time now for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Our number 3 story of the day. According to reports, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick hopped on the phone this week, and while some were saying the phone call, quote, didn't go well, others are reporting that the discussion was business as usual. Nick, good news or bad news?
I think it's slightly bad news in this regard. Every day that ticks forward without a deal being done is bad news for the Patriots retaining Tom Brady, if that's the prism we're looking at it. If he is not signed before the start of free agency,
Which is
not
when?
March 18th,
March
4 p.m.
18th.
Eastern, then he's not coming back. They're not going to take a $14 million dead cap hit only to give him a new deal.
a matter
So they
of
have
I'm
to
not
get
worried
this.
about it anymore.
You're not worried about
All right, Tom, Bill Belichick, would you like to win another Super Bowl? No? Okay. Have fun in Tennessee. Yes? Okay.
Good luck with
See you
the
at
Raiders.
OTAs.
It's amazing to me how many Brady fans are abandoning him for Belichick. It's really,
abandoning
really.
it.
Our number 2 story, talking Niners now. A recent report says that head coach Kyle Shanahan, quote, has some reservations about Garoppolo's ceiling and overall decision-making. Nick, this surprise you at all?
No, I mean, he has to. He's a smart guy who watches football, and anyone who watches football has these same reservations about Jimmy G. But this is the most noteworthy part of the Tom Curran report yesterday, is that, because the only way Brady ends up a Niner is if these reservations are massive, is if he's terrified. If he looks at the Super Bowl and says, geez, man, I got you a 10-point lead. I asked you to make 2 passes. They got batted down. After you blew the
Play
lead.
defense? He can't stop the
He cannot
greatest
have
player in
passes
NFL
batted
history.
down,
Patrick
and then
Mahomes.
Kyle Shanahan saying, I schemed a guy wide open for a game-winning touchdown pass, and you sailed it over his head for 6 yards. I'm done with you.
He got to the Super Bowl. He
It's not
played
that-
in the Super
Jen.
Bowl.
That's where I'm at. Although I'd like to see that trade.
Yeah.
I'm in for that.
I know.
Our top story here, the first matchup between Luka and Zion last night. The Mavericks defense able to contain Zion, holding the rookie to 21 points and 6 rebounds. That's actually an accomplishment. Luka, on the other hand, could not be slowed down. Nick's adult Slovenian son put up 30, 17, and 10 for the guy's 22nd career triple-double. Kristaps Porzingis, who's been playing great lately, added 34, 12, and 5 blocks. Mavs get the overtime win. Nick, the Mavs a dangerous first-round team if both Luka and Kristaps are playing the way they've been playing?
Yeah, number 1 offense in all of basketball, and that's with Kristaps having a tough start to the season. That's with Luka missing time. Sarah, you and I have talked about this off the air. This is a fun team. Don't play a ton of D, but, man, they can score with anybody. And Kristaps, since January 31st, so we're now talking about the entire month of February, a little bit of March, last day of January, how's 28 and 11 on 50% from the field, 39% from 3? Pretty damn good. And I do wonder, when we're talking about the best duos in basketball, to me, Sarah, there's a very clear-cut top 4. Now, your guys, KD and Kyrie, will insert themselves very shortly right into that list. But with Kyrie out and KD injured, we know the top 4 are. You can argue about the order. LeBron, Anthony Davis would be 1. I think Giannis and Middleton are 2 out of the strength of Giannis. Harden and Russ are 3, and Kawhi and Paul George are 4. Some people would reorganize that top 4. Those are your top 4. Could Luka and Kristaps be 5th? Embiid and Simmons played themselves out of it.
At least they were there, and then
they were there, and they played themselves out of it. And my friends in Denver say, "Why don't you give Jokic and Murray enough credit?" I included them. That's enough. Dame and CJ probably ain't gonna make the playoffs. Tatum's played well enough that they got on the Is it Luka and
Superstar
Kristaps?
Tatum.
Yeah.
Superstar Tatum, though.
Is it Luka and Kristaps?
Yes, because think about how well they play together.
Yes, they're already there to you.
To me, they are I have a ton of respect for all those other duos, but yes, and think about the size, the length. Obviously, Porzingis coming back from that injury, you knew it would take him a little bit of time. That's understandable. Now we're starting to see that progression. You mentioned Dallas not playing defense, but Porzingis does, and he's been impressive on that end of the floor. But I just think the dynamic and the chemistry between those two. I mean, Doncic is so tough to stop anyway in the pick and roll and with the ball in his hands, let alone when you got a guy like Porzingis that can stretch you out. He can get to the basket. I just think their chemistry will continue to build, and I have so much confidence in Rick Carlisle and how he continues to put them in the best position possible, and also just the roster around them.
Do you think Porzingis has another level to go to?
Yeah, I do. Because I think that for Porzingis, in the Knicks organization, what he was doing early on, him coming to the States and to the NBA in his career, he was still trying to find his way, gets injured. What he's been through early on, I don't even think we've seen him start to reach the ceiling of what he can be. And I think it's all about him staying healthy. But I think
these past 35 days, when he's giving you 28 and 11 on good shooting, good defense, I think you're starting to see it this month.
He doesn't have to be the guy. I mean, the fact that he can be a sidekick.
You think that's his destiny to be like a number 2?
Absolutely, I do. I don't think he's a superstar number 1. I think he can be a perfectly well qualified number 2. But the reason this is so interesting, before we get to Zion, just quickly, Jenna, this is why the regular season, I don't care what folks tell you, matters. The 1 seed in the West, you're going to get a walkover. You the 2, you might face these guys. Right now, the 2 seed gets this team, the number 1 offense in basketball, soon to be superstar Luka Doncic, soon to be star Kristaps Porzingis. That's who you get round 1 of the playoffs right now if you're the 2 seed. So don't tell me, oh, just coast. Okay, coast. And then deal with these guys for 2 weeks in late April. It ain't going to be fun.
All right, so Luka played Zion last night, so we're going to turn our focus to Zion. The Pelicans rookie played his first career back-to-back. Many wondered if that was a good idea. Zion thought it was a great idea. Take a listen.
Physically, I'm feeling fine right now. I think it was just one of those things where, Drew, Lonzo just kind of came to me and was like, are you ready to play? Because if you saw me in the second quarter, I think, I just kind of turned around and looked at Lonzo like, all right, like, I'm awake now because, they just came to me and said, like, it's time for you to wake up.
How do you think Zion held up conditioning-wise?
I think he's fine. We worry about him too freaking much, okay? He's fine. He's 19 years old. He'll be fine.
He's right? Gentry's right about Zion.
Of course he's right. Sarah, you remember, I don't know, 9 months ago, 10 months ago, we went to see my son's old AAU team on the Adidas Gauntlet, the Houston team that was playing in the same Adidas Gauntlet Zion South Carolina Supreme played in. Basketball University was the team we went and watched. Those kids play 3 games in 20 hours. They play 2 games a day minimum. Sometimes in a tournament, they might play 5 games from a Thursday to Sunday. Zion was doing that a year and a half ago. The idea that Zion at 19, it's like, he can't play back-to-back nights.
The competition's a little different.
Yeah, but the wear and tear on his body is about the same. We're not worried about people leaning on Zion. We're worried about Zion jumping and landing and jumping and landing. That's the same whether you're doing it in a small gym off the piers in New York City like we saw, or at the, what's it called? The Smoothie Center? The Smoothie King Center? Sorry, my apologies. This is, of course, Zion should be playing. And of course, to me, we should not be worried about a 19-year-old needing to load man.
And it's not worry. If you watched all those highlights and you watched last night, to credit to Dallas's defense, their collective length, Maxi Kleber was bodying up, doing an excellent job on him all night, and then he has Porzingis sliding over to help. That was some of his trouble last night when he was playing, and we've seen this with Zion when he's up against a player, whether it's the Lakers and you got Anthony Davis and a big man in Dwight Howard, or with the Bucks team. Sometimes if he's not playing against a guy that he could just beat with his own quickness and agility, and he's got a second big man coming over to help, it causes him a little bit of trouble, which is normal. He has been tremendous, and it's a part of it. We see a lot of fatigue in players in the second night of a back-to-back. I don't think it's anything that should raise red flags about Zion in particular.
Zion had a particular
look to him that was like, I'm exhausted.
Which happened, but that's...
But that's why people were asking Gentry, and
Well,
Gentry asked like it was an outrageous question. So here, he gets blocked, he falls down. Here comes Luka doing Luka's thing. Whoop. And layup. Now let's cut to Zion. Zion, how you feeling?
So Zion's not even...
He's like, oh, here I am. Like, you're allowed to question the coach after seeing this video. Be like, hey, he looked a little tired.
He's
like, he's 19. Like, okay, I just watched it.
I
like,
think to Alvin Gentry, who I love and who I know well, is credit. I think he's inundated with Zion questions. Every pregame, every postgame has been since the draft, since before the draft. So I'm sure for him, he's like, all right,
and
enough already.
Gets tired. I don't like this is.
You don't. You've never missed a.
I've never missed a show. Don't mean I'm not exhausted.
If we play him 38 nights,
I mean everyone
got
gets
a radio
tired.
show.
And by the way, I will say I love where we're at with Zion. You're totally right. He struggled a bit last night. They had length to give him some trouble. So that means he was held to an inefficient 50% from the field.
But
a bad game for him.
Only 3 times, I think, so far this year, he shot 50%.
Right.
Or right around.
Or low.
He sat out the first couple of minutes of overtime, didn't he? First 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, okay. So
why?
Again, because maybe he is not in perfect conditioning yet. But it's not. It has nothing to do with the idea